Hello, welcome to
Hi.
Talk About Pinkwood. I'm Rick Stromeyer. I'm late as fuck. We're
Along with
joined
his
with,
co-host, who's usually late as fuck, but reminded him this time that he was late as fuck.
I just like, so we have the intro video. It's 40 seconds of static. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to be able to get that 45 seconds is just like me being able to get things to groups. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm just like watching it. So a little bit of how
And
the
we're
sausage is
sitting
made, but
pre-show talking shit like about all this art stuff, and we're like, "Wow, we're giving away content that we should just be talking about." Oh, we're late. That's why we're in a
so yeah,
groove and
we're
just forgot.
10 minutes late. Sorry, guys. Sorry, y'all. For those
No.
watching recorded, like, hey, no big deal. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, so
Hey,
this is
Jason.
as per. Hey, guy, how's it going? All right, as per asked of last year about like making or trying to do like paint days and stuff. Today is a preempt or impromptu paint time for me during the show. So throughout the course of the show, I will be painting probably
And
more
I'm
than one
sketching.
thing. So yeah, welcome to Work in Progress Club.
Hi, Dylan.
And yeah, hello. So I probably won't be manning the chat, but I will be talking a
So,
shit ton. So,
I got hands, so we got it. Good.
so yeah, like this has been an interesting week to say the least, and glad to be here. Holy crap. So, Nicole, what are you drinking tonight before we just kick on into tangent time?
I'm just boring as shit. Me and my iced tea. I need coffee.
It,
I do need
it,
coffee.
it beats the water that I'm drinking, but before the show, I ended up having like 4 root
That's a
beers instead.
dangerous thing to be doing while painting, drinking water.
Yeah, and
Is it
it's
in a
over there, so
bottle?
I don't. No, it's in a cup, but it's a. So here's the. Um, despite all the
Jason's
greatest.
drinking
Uh,
OJ. Ooh, OJ sounds good right now.
nice. So based off all the paint groups and people joking about putting their paintbrush in water or drinking their paint water, besides a bottle, like the most just I would never be able to use this freaking thing as a. It would be too tippy. So like
Too tippy.
that water is safe for my paint. My drinking water is marked safe for paint.
I have definitely dipped a paintbrush in coffee before, an iced tea before. Anything that's next to my. So for me, my paint like water cup is literally like, you know, those like quarter ounce or whatever they are, quart like mixing cups that they have at like Home Depot and shit like that. Like the paint
Yeah.
mixing things. That's what I use for a water cup. I just fill that shit to the tippity top, and that's what I use until I got to clean it. And I will just forget. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I'm drinking out of. As if it has a lid, obviously I'm not an ass face dipping it through the straw. But if it's an open cup,
I'm
it's
gonna
very.
try.
I'm gonna really try to fuck with it. Jason, pulp free. Yeah, dude, no pulp in my orange juice. I don't want floating things in my drink. Weird.
Drink milk if it had pulp in it.
You would?
No, we would never. We as a species would never drink milk if it had pulp in it.
No. My mom actually, like, if she bought the wrong orange juice when I was a kid, okay, this is just like a tip on how like spoiled I was a little bit, like because of my I won't eat thing. Like at that age, you know, like all kids, not all kids, a lot of kids go through that phase where they just won't eat shit. And my mom was just like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" Like whatever to get this kid to eat, and she would take the orange juice if I wouldn't drink it because it had pulp, and she'd strain it.
Yeah, I strain mine all the
She'd
time.
sit there and strain the shit, and she'd do it with like the face on, like I want to murder her.
My mom would too until she got tired of it and showed me how to do
it. Exactly, until she's like, shit.
And then like one time I was going to we were going to my grandparents for my grandfather's 80th birthday, and freaking grandma pre-game got my orange juice strained in advance because, well, she understood we were running late. Like, it's not our fault. And so like, and my grandfather had no clue I was coming. He knew my mom and dad was coming. He didn't know I was coming. And it was kind of a surprise. My grandfather and I were tight, and fucking after we sat down and all excited that we all got here, he was like, I should have realized that you were coming because grandma had strained the orange juice right in front of him. And he didn't fucking pick up on that, but he did put two and two together once we finally like touched ground.
Dylan says that his grandma strained that shit all the time for him, and he thought it was common. Look, I didn't know if it was or not. I just thought it was spoiled rotten, and my mother hated me because she loved, regular orange juice with pulp. She used to also get us those things where you can like twist it into your orange juice, and you could, or your orange juice into an orange, and you just drink it out of like this. It's like a straw that like goes inside of the orange. Yeah, it was weird as fuck. But you don't get any pulp because obviously like you're not getting like much of the juice. You're kind of just getting what's like right there unless you squeeze it. But there's like the pulp is staying in the thing. But it was a cool little thing that my mom, you love pulp, but you're drinking pulp-free orange juice. How does that make any pulp free?
If somebody in his house,
funny face.
is probably drinking it.
But he does it with a funny face, as if like, oh yeah, I like it pulp free, and he's like, I love pulp. Is that the treacle brush from Decon?
Yeah,
that thing is fucking amazing, isn't it?
It's all right. I've had to repair.
I've had
to save it once already. Like to go like do the thing with hot water and vinegar. So
there's a honey in the oven trick.
No.
You rub honey on your bristle and you put it in an oven that's 400 degrees for 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Or 10 to 15 seconds, whatever. And then you take it out. You do, and you just form, you go like that, you form it back and rinse it off in your water, and brilliant. Every so often I just take like a handful of brushes and I fucked up. I'm like, okay, hold on, we gotta go to the oven. Let's honey you real quick. What's the vinegar trick?
Oh, so like I shared this as a technique once before, where like you heat up, so you soap up your brushes with Dawn.
This is before I wrote down the techniques.
Right. So, no, you have to go back now. No. So you soap your brush. You get hot water and you swish them off in that, and then you put them in vinegar and you swish them off there, and then you use soap again to reform them. And the vinegar and the hot water helps break down the paint that gets up here in the ferrule, which is where you're never supposed to have paint anyway, but we all fucking do it. Yeah. So like,
yeah, I'm guilty of
that. I said to myself the other day, oh, next time you do this, because already got a queue of brushes that I want to try and fix again. Like, just do it fucking live, either here or on my other channel. And yeah. So there you go. All right.
I
So
can't do the honey trick live because my oven's not in here.
so what have you got today? What have you done lately, Nicole?
Okay. We did this ahead of time. I broke stuff. Yeah, this was the story that we were telling before we went live. I broke stuff and I'm now fixing stuff. Both Rick and I are in the Hello Raw Man show 2 weeks. Thank God, not next week, because I would have probably jumped off of a cliff if this was next week. And I
wouldn't be in it. Like, okay.
One of the 2 pieces I made for it is reminiscent of the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and I actually I made it like a little dish and made a clock and all that's like, resin clock and stuff out of it. And I went to put the last layer in because like the toy itself is all like painted, everything's great. Just need to get that last piece done and insert it. Done. Perfect. Pressure pot that motherfucker, put it in there, undo the pressure, take the lid off. Oh my God, what happened? Besides the bubble. Okay, so like the only a quarter inch resin pour, mind you. All of it had, the whole entire rim had micro bubbles all around it. And besides that, there was like a patch of cloudy on like the corner. It was really weird. It was a really weird thing. And that means condensation happened at some point, the cloudy part. But I was just very confused on a lot of it. Just a lot of what, like even the bubbles on the side, I was confused. I'm like, I'm very lost here. But that also means that my resin was probably bad. There was lots of things that told me the resin was bad, like how it felt, the smell of it, like afterwards, like
could
just
there
a
have
lot of
been
things.
could there have been an indicator beforehand that
Probably if I
you,
smelled the resin, but I had a mask on.
Well, there you go.
So I didn't smell what it smelled like, and when I
does it actually smell when it goes bad? I don't know.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Sometimes, depending on sometimes it has like a funky like eggy sulfatey kind of jazz. Yeah.
Okay.
And I just didn't. So I tried to Dremel it out and it shattered because the wall was super thin. And yeah, I've been spending the last few hours of my day with my bad carpal tunnel wrist, making an entire new thing. But then that also leads to my technique of the. It's not even a technique of the week. It will lead into my technique of the week. So I guess I'll just do like a little like
just
poke
do it
of
now.
it. Yeah, fuck
I
it.
don't
Why
have
not?
my show notes out here. I'm winging it.
Fuck it. So. Yes, this sucks, right, guys? This sucks. And you're like, fuck, what do I do? Well, what my ass always does, because we all probably do it when we mix our clay, we make too much clay. And I always make a lot of too much clay. And on purpose, because I like to make like mini sculptures and like things like that, and just to fuck around and find out. So this is one of the 2 that I made extra bases for the watch. So I had backups. So it wasn't from like ground zero scratch. It's from like the floor was poured on the foundation of the house. Yeah, like it doesn't have the structure yet, but there is concrete floor. So at least like I didn't have to start from like zero. So like I guess my little technique of the week is not really a technique. It's just like make shit with your extra clay. Like, Rick and I were talking about this ahead of time. Like sometimes I'll make little clay balls, like resin clay balls, as like a thing to be a weight for a project that I need to like weight down on the bottom, and I'll end up gluing them into the bottom or something like that. Or like if I'm gonna pour resin into it, I'll use it already like to keep it weighted down. Or I'll end up making like little random shit like a snake for whatever reason, or I made a little anatomical heart one time, or like when I made my guitars, I had extra clay and said, fuck it, I'll make a mini pick. So with this clay, I told myself, like, okay, make extra bases in case something goes wrong. And good thing I did.
Voila.
But then I also was like, oh, I want to see if I can make like little mini rings, because like the wall of the clock that goes into it is obviously like a ring that I have to like smooth out and like sculpt down and blend down, like, you know, as if I was making like a cup or a vase or something in, you know, ceramics. So I'm like, oh, I want to challenge myself to make like a ring. So my ass made 2 little rings. So now, while I'm waiting for my new clock to go, the rabbit's got his bifocals. Because I didn't think about that. And I was like, oh, now I'm going to add that.
Thought about it.
And that kind of, my subconscious said, oh, do it. So like, I guess that's my technique. Always like make random shit. Because you never know. You never know. Mix extra clay and make random shit. Balls.
I make, yeah,
plates,
I do
who cares?
balls and eggs.
I like the eggs. I like the eggs. I like that idea. I'll make little
They
hearts,
were easy,
like
just
flat hearts.
Tiny footballs.
Yeah, like little football. And then it kind of made me think of like this idea of to make like little quotes for remember I showed you last week Hattress that I'm like creating. Mm-hmm. So if Hattress is going to be a thing, Hattress in Wonderland is obviously like the name of the game. So the quote from the White Rabbit here is, I can't see shit with these glasses on. Like I'm late because I can't see shit with these glasses. That's his quote from this. Instead of I'm late for an important date, that's what he would say in my world. So I'm going to start writing down like little quotes of, look what an accident can do. An accident leads you into like 1,000 fucking ideas for no reason. What who said happy accidents?
That would be my very good friend Bobby Ross.
Bob Ross. See?
Yeah.
Dear Bob Ross knew his shit. So look at what, it was a tragic accident because I literally cried for like a good 25 minutes, I won't lie. After sanding it and being covered in dust and it cracking, me being like, I cried, and then, you know, recouped and fix. New ideas. Bifocals. It's not even a technique of the week. It's just like a pro tip. If you break shit, make random extra shit. Or if your brain thinks you're going to break it, make an extra.
Alicia's dad imposed the idea once that I should always like have like more material than what I estimate for like, especially construction issue projects. I'm like, no. But like, I always buy a little extra, you know.
Yeah.
Clay, on the other hand, man, I hate mixing clay because it's like I never nail it. You know, there's always a little extra word. There's always like, I got to make a little more, and then you have extra afterwards. And
yeah.
So it's, yeah. All right, so we are painting yellow tonight, amongst many other colors. And
yellow.
Everybody hates yellow.
No.
Everybody hates yellow because yellow sucks.
Yellow has just like zero like not saturation, zero like zero opacity.
Your opacity. Yes. So like so it's because it's most yellows are almost always a single pigment paint, and that means less ability to cover. White similar. Funny enough though, like white and yellow are the weakest colors, but you mix them together and you can actually get like a decent coverage of things, and it's not like a one coat wonder. But So what I do, what I've done on this dude is I started with like, first off, you gotta just, you hit the mindset that yellow is not going to be one coat and done. All right. Yellow's not done that way
Nope.
by hand. So we're going to qualify it real quick. I can already hear people saying, well, I can do it this. Yes, we all can hit it with a spray can and get yellow to work. We can all hit something with a spray can of white, and then yellow works really well on top of it because you're seeing the white through it. So, like my joke suggestion on how to paint yellow is you spray it yellow, and then you paint around everything that isn't. Um, that doesn't go over well sometimes. So,
Barely said
but it's
yellow
still
is
my joke.
not fun.
So yeah, so it's like yeah, that's the yeah. So yellow sucks. I do enjoy
Especially
painting it.
fluorescent yellow.
Yeah, I enjoy painting yellow just because be like, aha, look at that, look what I did. And pretty much it's like it's almost a bigger stunt than like using neon colors for a black light, just because a clean yellow looks so good. Um, but so my method of getting a good yellow down is to start out with a flesh tone color first, like a peach, light brown, not orange though, because orange sucks almost as much as yellow and white, but it's, yeah. So a peach color or flesh tone, because flesh tones are always mixed up with multiple pigments, which helps aid in its coverage. So this one especially, yeah, I slapped on a flesh tone X before I did anything else, and then I built up parts of it with an orange for for darker um, bits, and then I started glazing in whites. I haven't touched yellow yet. It's been a flesh tone, orange, and white, so I could have values on there. And then I'm doing it right now in real time. So, like, you've got your whites, your oranges, and your flesh tone, and that yellow. I've just thinned it down a lot, and it's glazing over top of it, so that some people like to have just a solid color. I always have my colors have, or my paints have a lot of transitions in there to make them interesting and to have a very painterly effect. So yeah, I'm just glazing in, and this is the So Flat,
Ooh.
and it's meant to have coverage. It The yellow doesn't fucking have coverage. I mean, like, we're
No, it
gonna be
doesn't.
honest.
Which one is it?
We're just gonna be. Which one is it? The
Yeah.
one that can't be airbrushed. Whichever yellow that
Which
is.
color?
Um,
There's like 3
which
yellows that
color?
they have.
Yellow.
Is it
Yeah,
fluorescent
but
or is it
I
cadmium?
it's probably it's the cadmium. I didn't buy the fluorescents. I already have a brand of fluorescents that I know I can shoot through the airbrush, and that's all I need. I don't need 5 grams of fluorescent.
That's all I need.
That's all I need. So yeah, so there's probably 3 coats of yellow in here that's all glazed up. And by glazed, I mean a little matte medium in water, and you keep it thin so you don't have a lot of brush strokes. And there we go. Big old plagued X on the back of my
Ooh, I like that X.
dude.
I like that he's
So
drippy.
yeah, and from here I can add like thin layers of white to beef up the highlights, and I can use orange to beef down, pull down the shadow, enhance the shadows. But it's like 1 coat of a peach flesh tone, which happens to be our color of the month. Then you just build up with some whites and darks and spots, and then you go over with your yellow, and then you have a very interesting yellow. Yeah, no, it's just, yeah, that's the way it is. Like, people some folks cast aspersions on using the airbrush. I'm like, fuck you, it's a tool. and and like
Cast spell on it.
that's my and my mentality for yellow is also like, just go spray it. Like it takes a few coats, but you know, that comes out clean. Paint, yeah. And if I didn't want some, yeah. So there you go. That's my
X marks the
helpful hint.
spot.
Yep. So yeah, so I'm painting one of the Money Talks by Martian Toys for my show, and I zombified this dude, and he's all ripped up. That's what we're working on tonight.
Ooh, brain.
And so like, there you go.
With an eyeball in it. That's cool.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I ripped out back of his head. So
That's
it's got like skull, brains, eyeball coming out. I have a sticker for that for the show too.
Ooh. Of course you do.
Yeah. So.
Of course you do.
And this is kind of the same thing because like I'm going back and forth with the white highlights on this, and I'm using like really thin layers of white. And it's like, oh, it takes so long. Yeah, it does, but it looks clean as hell. So like, what do you
It's
want?
beautiful.
Fast and sloppy, or something? Fast and sloppy, or something that's clean? You know.
I was gonna say that's so flat, but you know, you get it. It's not like meant to be like, oh, harder.
So yeah, that's what we got over there, and then I got show pieces over there that are done. I'm not showing finished pieces for my show yet, so like people get to see them in progress for a while. But we'll also have. Let's see if we can do this. Are we going to share a screen? I understand. Let's proceed. No, come on, dude. A window. There we go. Ba-boom. There's my hello ramen. Or one.
You can't see it.
So what do you mean you can't see it? I can't see it, or you can't?
You can't see it on live.
Can't see it on live. Why not?
I don't know. I'm just telling you.
Auto add screen to stream. There we go. Boom.
Nope.
Well, no, we're getting there, Nicole.
Just letting you know.
I'm
just letting you know.
I appreciate all the extra help. All right, there we go. Can you see
there you go.
There we go. So there's my. I don't know. I have a title for it yet. So there is. Imagine if Greedo from good old Star Wars was a delivery guy. We're started off as a delivery boy, and we're delivering the blue noodles that we have seen in Star Wars before. So we got the blue noodles.
He was a delivery guy for Java.
No, like there's some fucking. How do you advance it? There's some type of blue noodle, and I have the tab saved in my iPad, but
that's cool.
Yeah, so there's actually like some blue noodle dish in Star Wars, and my buddy sent me
really?
a recipe, and we just saw and we saw and they made the blue noodles made an appearance in Andor, and I was like,
no shit.
What the fuck? We need to, so we need to make some blue noodle dish, and I freaking. So we got the sloppy doppy. I put a little lizard embryo in the egg, just like in the
Stop
Mandalorian.
it! I didn't even notice that. I noticed the eyeballs.
Little googly eyes on that thing, and I put little patterns on the yellow part thing. And I have two variants of this. One has scale patterns on the green for the bowl, and one has hexagons. And yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So like one's like mermaidy scaly and one's like a different kind of scaly. I like that.
Yeah, one's got like an alien texture to it, and one's got like fish scales to it. And the teeth are done a little different. And drips are done a little different. The staining is a little different, but it's like, it's a series of two. And
I like them.
That's my thing.
No Greedos are alike.
End my screen share. Yeah, no two Greedos are alike. And I'm like, if I have time, I'm going to make a funny Greedo sticker or like logo for it, whether just for Instagram. But yeah, it was like, that's my my hello ramen is the Star Wars blue noodles with the with the Greedo delivery guy. I was like, oh, I could do one as a Greedo thing and then one as a Han Solo. I'm like, fuck it, I love those. I love that pastel green that I saw that I referenced, and I've enjoyed painting that green as of late. I'm like, fuck it, they're just gonna all be, they're both gonna be that, and it's gonna make things go a little faster. It takes the guesswork out of like what color goes where, and yeah. So that's my hello ramen piece, and that was cool. Like it's cool because like I volunteered to do the poster for the show, and I haven't done a.
I love it.
This was a week of learning because I was like, oh, I haven't. Wow, Illustrator's changed since when I first learned it, but it was like,
Has
oh, okay,
it?
so oh gosh, yes. So I was like, all right, this is cool. And then after I did it, after I made the poster, man, have I been taking a deep dive on various um, uh, tutorials on how to up my knowledge base on not even my game, just my knowledge base on what the hell I can do with Illustrator. Um, so there'll be more computer shit along the
More
way.
computer shit.
Uh, More computer shit.
I like how you
So
say that.
more computer shit. So like, yeah, I don't have to be a complete dinosaur about wanting to stay in the 1980s with my technology, but yeah. So
You sure are
I'm
gonna
excited.
try though.
I'm trying. Like, fuck that. Like, I was all like expecting like sometime this month while we're doing the show to have the great debate about AI, and I'm like, I don't feel like fucking covering it.
No, because my debate. You know my debate.
So like, I'm like, I wanted to talk about it, and mainly like, yeah, and I'm just like, fuck it, I don't have the as much as I love to fly off the seat of my pants on an opinion that is very poorly formed at the time, or not as well informed as it could. This is definitely not one of those times where I'm like, no, we're not going there yet. So yeah,
Not today.
one day, but yeah. So there we go. Not
Yeah,
that I'm saying that people.
anytime I've been like that's been brought up and I have my opinion, people like come at me and I'm like, "Oi, okay, I'm
But
good, I'm
that's
good."
just that's the problem too. Is like you should be able to express your opinion without having people come at you. But like,
Right?
so like having an opinion doesn't mean people. It doesn't mean like, oh, I'm gonna come at this. But it's like, really, like this is it. It impacts our industry, and anybody who says it isn't, I can pull up half a dozen examples of, yeah, it's already at easily half a dozen examples of how not even mainstream people or mainstream industries are using, just like folks we know, folks we've potentially just like, had very little interaction or what. And it's just like, oh, look at this. I've used AI to do this. And now, da, 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 da. It's like, yeah, but where's your hand in it? So like, it's part of my opinion is based off Walter Benjamin's philosophy from the 1930s. So a 90-year-old philosophy. And yeah, and I based my part of my art history thesis on, not thesis, but my big art history project on Walter Benjamin's philosophy about um, the how the mechanical process of uh, like the printing press takes away the soul of art, because the once it goes through the mechanical printing process, the art loses its soul because it's now in the hands of a machine. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a neat philosophy. Never got to see. a follow up on that because Walter Benjamin killed himself in the 1930s because he wasn't able to get a visa into the United States. So he was growing up in, or he was living in Nazi or Germany, soon to be Nazi Germany, and he knew he would be he knew he was going to be
Oh boy.
taken. He knew he was going to be a political prisoner from
What a
them, and he didn't
like
want
a
to.
what a sad story to fucking tell right now, Rick.
Yeah, but that's what when I got nothing else, I'm going to tell stories about Nazis. Um,
No, no.
no, but like, yeah. So Tangent Time. Welcome back to Tangent Time. I am equating
Rick
the
is
AI
not drunk
process
tonight.
to.
I promise.
No, I promise not. Nothing in me but the joy of painting.
Promise not. Jason asked what I'm drawing. I can't tell you.
Yeah, unfortunately, like
I'm in 3
we're
shows I
we're
can't talk about. It's like,
you're not counting the ramen one as a show you can't talk about, are you?
oh no. Okay,
Because we are totally able to talk
2,
about that.
2.
We are totally able to talk about that one.
Oh,
In
and
fact, we
and
should.
by I can't talk about it, I mean yet.
Like
Yet.
yeah. There's no reason to not talk about the Hello Show. That's it. Within 2 weeks, we got shit to do. It's a fully loaded show, and I would encourage anybody and everybody to take a gander at that. Um, at the very least, like just look at the advertisements on Instagram by who's in it and who's in it. Well, we got 30 people in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know we got 30 people in it because I've had to make modifications to the poster about 4, 5, 6, 7, 18 times to make sure. Oh, this
18
person
times.
is like the only drawback to so like all right. I don't design posters for in the age of the internet. So I was like, oh, there are a couple things. So like you designed the poster. Okay, cool. So my mentality was, all right, it's going to be seen on a screen. So I designed the thing at a 12 by 12 inches and a 300 uh, DPI, dots per inch. And it's like, okay, cool. It's print quality. It's a foot. So when it shows up on anybody's iPad or smartphone or tablet, it's going to be a better resolution than you'll see there. Okay, no problem. And so planned for that. And then I was asked, hey, can you can you send me the file so you can have it as to be printed? I'm like, oh, yes, I can. And then I had to retool it a little so I could make it so it could be print quality or print to the size that they wanted. No problem. And then um, needed a version for the wall so that they could have the classic wall decal that galleries do and I love. And I'm like, oh, now I need to do a black and white one. So while I was doing one poster, I should have been able to have it set up as the computer generated image or the screen image, the print version, and a wall decal. So this is all my like not buying in with the times concept. I'm like, well, this is me mismanaging my time. So they're like, oh, this is all the shit that I just have not bought into for years. And so I am playing catch up. This is no way me fussing about being able to do it because it's pretty cool to do it. And yeah,
I love it. I I
so I wanted to
I loved it. I love the one that you made for us.
thank you. So I wanted to look like a ramen package, but a little more, but like have a hand in have it my own method or methodology, and still have like this Japanese packaging concept. So for about a day or two, I'm just dissecting Google. I'm like, all right, what do the Japanese food packages look like that I can make it have some basis in reality? And I still snuck some of my own design elements in because it's what you do. And it's
Absolutely.
fun. So, yeah. And Smirks is going to take care of the show logo. So I'm like, cool. I do not have to, I'm not going to worry about that right now. So
Nice.
everything's great. Yeah. So, like, full steam ahead. Do I have anything else to show up? I do. Oh, yeah. Bear Braids. Ha ha ha. Bear Braids is here. So, what was, I got this dude set up this week. So, like, the other joy of painting yellow is to find a really nice metallic yellow. And
Ooh, what? How'd you do that one?
ooh, ancient secret. So I'll tell you in March.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's not two-tone, but he looks two-tone. I fucking dig this dude. So like, let's see. I realize my lights are way too bright to be showing off stuff. There we go. As much as I don't like plugging other people's stuff, and I'm like, hey, or not other people's stuff, but paint products and stuff. So I'm like, man, that metallic yellow came up pretty cool.
It
And
is
like I hit it with the
badass.
color shift from the bottom, and now it's like, so most of this is done. Well, I'd say it's halfway done. So teeth, eyes, little spinities, hand details, and then yeah, but having the body
The
taken
big.
care of, like the big, so the body's taken care of, and that makes everything else pretty easy. So this will go to my show too. Like, I got this at DesignerCon. It was funny though, like, you know, got to
You got
meet
something
Bear
from
Brains up
Jason?
from Bear Brains,
Barely available?
or barely, Bear Brains,
No, barely available.
not barely available.
That's barely.
Yes, it is. Oh God, why do I keep? I've crossed Bird Brains and barely
Bird
available.
brains and barely.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been a dummy saying the wrong fucking name for the past 2 minutes.
I thought that was like a
Yes.
nickname you had for him. I was like, okay.
So barely
It
available.
even says it here on his name on the fucking thing.
I didn't fuck. That's why I looked at it to make sure. All right. So my apologies. All right. I can't go back in time and hit the stop button to be saying Bear Brains. So barely available. I got this at Decon from him, which was funny because like it's like, oh, I like that toy. He sold me the blank. He gave it to me. And by the time he put it in my hand, he was dealing with some other customers, and he just says, "I'll get money from you later." I'm like, okay. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, I still haven't given you money. So like, yeah, great platform. Um, so I like it because it has no articulation. So like the head came off, the head glued back on. There's no articulation, so I don't have to worry about moving parts. So in theory, you should be able to survive any type of shipping conundrum. Yeah, I fucking dig it.
I love him. I love Barely's work.
Yeah,
Barely's so
he
good.
makes cool shit. Like, we'll see how much I enjoy painting all parts of it, and I might try and get another one for the show.
You and your cool shit.
Well, yeah, why? Yeah, gotta have cool shit.
I like cool shit.
Like, it's the most.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
You'll wait until March to tell me about metallic yellow. Okay, I'm gonna write this down on my show notes here real quick.
Yeah, dude, metallic yellow in March.
Owes me metallic yellow.
I'm writing it down. It makes it official. Now I can turn this around and then you go there.
There we go. Owes me metallic yellow.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ow.
Like, we'll just keep it. We'll keep the secret safe for like the moment, and then like after I get my show tape, and we'll go.
Yeah, Rick is Could have had like
But
9,000
yes,
pieces at this show.
no, I've decided to have the discipline to only have 30 the
The
what
number that they
coin.
asked for.
They haven't asked for a number yet. So like I've decided to have the discipline to say 30. I'm doing 30 pieces, and
Well, that's
that's what I'm going
good.
to do. So as of today, I can account for 22 pieces, not done, but 22 pieces that are like these are platforms I have. Excuse me, I have in hand, and um, and I know I have a plan of what to do with them. As opposed to just like playing whack-a-mole with whack-a-doodle with a spray can. So yeah,
Are you
so I
guys
have
doing any are you guys doing any like crossover collabs?
yes. She should be sending me a couple pieces because I'm painting her pieces for this collab. Um,
Nice. Yeah.
and so like I know my limitation is not, or I know my limitation in sculpting is not a thing I do. Fortunately, she does. I mean, it's just like with Jason. Like we had been we had gone back and forth for weeks about like what kind of collaboration we could do, and he had recommended um, me painting one of the hoodies or the jumpsuits that for the Megatech, and I was like, man, I haven't painted on a piece of clothing in years. But I didn't want to say no because I'm like, one of the things you don't do is say no, I can't do that. And I was like, but I was super worried about fucking it up. So I was like, can you include a couple a fabric swatch of whatever it is so I can at least have a practice piece? And yeah, they sent me he sent me half a dozen little swatches about 9 inches uh, square. And after the first one, I was like, okay, I got this. And
Hmm.
that was it. All I needed was one practice piece. But like, okay, this is cool. And yeah, turned out super rad.
Because you're a genius.
And thank you. But, blind squirrel finds a nut. We'll file it under that. And then, yeah, and it turned out super cool. So
Blind
we're
squirrel
doing,
finds a nut.
yeah, even a blind squirrel finds a nut. So, like,
Do they?
yeah.
But do they really?
I'm gonna go. It's been a saying I've used for years, so we're gonna just keep on going, dude.
No, I'm actually curious about it. Like I'm not saying it even in in a stupid, like I'm actually genuinely curious if squirrels are blind, like if a squirrel was blind, would they be able to actually like
Oh, sure. Why would you want to disrespect the squirrels?
I'm
They're
not trying to
they're
disrespect the word.
amazing. They're amazing creatures. Don't disrespect the squirrel.
I'm just actually legitimately curious here if squirrels can like smell like nuts down,
I
That
imagine
okay,
so.
this is a terrible conversation now.
Well,
Dogging on
well,
squirrels
Nicole,
and shit.
how do you find nuts?
The store?
There you go. So just imagine the park that across the street from you has the nut store, and the squirrel's finding them in the ground. He's not using his eyes. Okay, this got weird. All right.
You're such a weirdo.
So, like, okay, what have you been listening to while you've been making all those top secret things this week?
Oh dear Jesus. I have been listening to like a lot of like documentary things. Like one was about this girl who lived in Vatican City who got like kidnapped in the 80s. And they were talking about how they think the Pope had something to do with it.
Okay, that sounds dirty.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing, and it was great. It was like it's called like Vatican Girl or something like that on Netflix. But then like it starts to lead you to other shit. So then I started watching this like limited series called watching whatever called Clark about Clark Olenslav or Olafson. Clark
Mm-hmm.
Olafson, the dude who they named Stockholm Syndrome after.
Oh,
And he's played by Bill Skarsgård, the dude
okay,
who played It and all that, whose
yeah.
dad is in like the Marvel shit and in Andor. Um,
Oh God, I love Andor.
he's the guy who sends Andor on the mission.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's his dad, which I like always thought was kind of cool. So that was fucking awesome because like you hear all about like this dude was insane and he just got out of prison for like, well, we don't know if it's the final time, but he just got out of prison like in 2018 after being in and out since the 60s for like this man robbed more banks than I can even fathom existed in Sweden in the first place. And he every time like some woman would fall in love with him from robbing the bank.
Wow.
And there was this one, I guess, standoff that he did that this is where Stockholm syndrome came into, where he actually like played a role in getting the guy who was robbing the bank out, but then all of a sudden he became like part of robbing the bank while like
Right.
in there trying to help the cops. It was weird. But while doing that, he like all of the people that were in there with them didn't want to leave the bank because they didn't trust the cops after a while. Like they started
Oh
trusting their
God.
captors more than the cops. And that's how that all like started because it was in Stockholm. And I was like, this is fascinating. Like this guy's life
Right.
was insane. He's not dead. And he like the things he got away with and the fact that he has not ended up like somehow forever in prison, like
Mm.
drug muling, money laundering, like everything under the sun, and he gets like 5 years, 6 years,
Well, if
10
you
years,
were
like
a U.S. citizen, you
pocket
could be
sentences.
president.
You fucking asshole. And like it's like these pocket sentences and I'm just sitting there like,
Oh sure.
and he's named after Clark Gable. His mom
Oh.
named him after Clark Gable. That's why his name's Clark, because that's not very like Swedish.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like literally, like would rob a bank and like run to another country. Like went to Beirut,
Oh,
went to like the Cayman Islands, went to Spain, went to Italy, went to Belgium, went to Germany. I was like, he escaped prison like 3 or 4 times. Every time he would go, he would escape. And like each time, like his cellmate would be like, "Oh, what's up, buddy? Like, let me get in your escape plan." Because like everyone knew, oh, if he's here, let's wait and let's see how long it is until
he's
he
going.
escapes. Yeah.
Oh God.
And like one time, like the one time he actually like did his whole sentence, like the cop who had like I guess chased him this whole time or whatever, since this is actually a story, he was like shocked that he was straight edge for like 18 months and like he was taking care of his kid and he was married. And then they find out he was secretly still drug muling on the DL. And like when he gets sentenced for like to 10 years in jail, like or whatever, you could like in the show, they just show this cop like shaking his head like fucking guy. And the whole time,
You can come be a congressman.
this guy acts like he's like fucking like, like he can't, like nothing could happen to him. He's like, I'm fucking Clark Olafson. Like the whole time he acts like as if he's a god. And watching Bill Skarsgård do this is amazing.
Really cool.
And I have to look it up, but it's in Swedish but dubbed. So I don't know if he did his own dubbing. Like that would be
Oh,
interesting if he
I
did
was like,
his own
okay, I'll watch
dubbing.
that one.
No, you'll love it because then
Oh,
there are
some
parts
guys
where they
do that.
speak in English, and I was like, I'm so confused. Like, is he doing his own dubbing, or is like now I'm gonna look it up while we're doing this. That was my sound. It's just a whole bunch of documentaries, like just. That was enough for me because those were long episodes. Like each episode was like over an hour each.
Ooh.
And that's a lot for two like
Cool.
limited series. That was a good like 3 days of work.
All right, fair enough.
Plus like the pausing and what like doing other like listening just to music and shit in between. I've been listening to a lot of like old 60s stuff. Like a lot of old 60s stuff. Like Leon Russell.
Oh, yeah.
What have you been listening to?
Well, let's see. I have taken a shine. I haven't figured out why, but I've taken a shine to watching Good Mythical Morning on the YouTube. 'Cause it's like half Fear Factor and half oh gosh, the one of the an Andrew Zimmer show for food and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of like it because both hosts remind me of me, which is like that sounds mean as fuck, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But like you do, like they both remind me of different parts of how like I work or I interact with the world, which is just yeah, it's goofy, but yeah, I've been watching those guys, and like Alicia is like, oh, we should do because we do a lot of we do a lot of times where we listen to podcasts and stuff while she's working on something and I'm painting stuff, and I haven't like gone down to paint anything in the living room since August,
Really?
and
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
and I can pinpoint the time, but so like I've been, like in August we had a shift in the house in August because like we got rid of the couch, got a new couch, and I've been sitting on that a lot because I've
Ooh.
been enjoying the fruits of the labor of my new couch, and because of that, it's like I don't want to paint on my new couch, but I want to sit on it. So like we had shifted. So in the living room, the couch is on one side, and then we have two chairs at a 90-degree angle, and it faces the TV. All right, so it makes a square. And when we decided when we were getting a new couch, we just flip flopped where the couch and the chairs would go. So my chair is now it's in a corner of the square.
Oh.
Well, I guess no matter where it would fall in a square. But it's on the farthest corner. Um, and the TV, then we got a new TV and we moved the TV back too. So up until like 3 weeks ago, we had the old TV blocking my view from where the new position of my chair was. so yeah, total first world,
No.
total first world problem, right?
Such a first
So
world problem.
so yeah, I've like, and we've been like watching stuff that I would like to actually like pay attention to as opposed to just like listening to. And so like it's been there. So when we've been down there, haven't done much. And since decon though, we Alicia introduced me to one of her podcasts on the drive back home, and I thought it was cool. And we've been listening to that. You're Dead to Me. It's a British. I told this whole long story to tell this part and another part. But so she is. So like yeah. So we've been listening to this show called You're Dead to Me, where it's about history and it's a comedy show about history. So they pick a subject, and you have three people on the show. You have the host, you have a comedian, and you have a historical expert. Sometimes you have sometimes the historical expert will come back for multiple things because they have overlap in certain areas, and sometimes you have the comedian come back. For example, the same comedian or same historical person talked about Dracula, and then vampires and Gothic literature. And then one person was covering Mary Shelley, and then Lord Byron, and so you can see how
Oh,
this is going to go.
interesting.
So, yeah, and like I got to, and so part of their format is to after they, so they'll pull the expert on, give an idea of what the topic is they're going to cover. Then the comedian will give a thing or two about like what his impression of it is. Then they'll have a heartfelt discussion about it, a lighthearted discussion about the whole thing. And then they give the expert 2 minutes to talk about whatever they want to about the subject or topic. And then they quiz the comedian on what the show was about. And
what the fuck?
they're yeah. So like,
that's a lot.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. Like they're very. Excuse me, you didn't need the gratuitous crotch shot. So they're very forgiving about the how they score, because I mean it's all in fun, right? So it's like, okay, so when did Mary Shelley write Frankenstein? It was 1800s and somewhere around, and the host will be like 1870s, right? You're going to say that? Yeah, just about right there. Okay, very good. So it's like they're very very kind.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so they don't want to embarrass these people because they came on and everybody is solid by like participating, right? The show gets its own exposure. Show gets to do what it's doing, and people get their exposure for whatever, right? So it's fine. And so we were listening to that, and on the way up to on the way home, Alicia was like, well, we can. Well, we tried listening to Pet Cemetery on the car ride. I've never read Pet Cemetery, and Alicia has, and it was, man, that was a hard go. And so we didn't get far on that. And Alicia had said, well, when we get home, we can do the Dark Tower if you want. I'm like, of course I want, but I'm like, well, I haven't finished it. So I'm still stuck on last year's cycle of reading it or listening to it.
Seriously?
So, yeah, seriously, like as
I did not
obsessive
know
as I
that.
am about that. Yeah, so as obsessive as I am about listening to that story, I hadn't finished last year's cycle. And because I had this idea last year
I'm
that I would,
shocked.
you should be. So
I am.
I had this.
I am
You should be. Yeah, because that's my obsessive compulsive disorder at work. And so I had this discipline last year where I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to it an hour a day. And since there are 180 days of school in the calendar or in the school year, I'm going to listen to an hour of it every day I go to work. Okay, that's my reward time. And by the time I took medical leave last year, I was like, and I'm done. And it's not because that I was done because of the story. It's just like there were so many things going on that I'm like, man, I don't even want to fucking listen to the story, listen to like my favorite thing.
And
That's
that's a big deal.
how, yeah, that should have been a fucking sign that things were going wrong. So like, I still haven't finished it. So I've been, and then yesterday Alicia's like, well, have you finished like, we could listen to the Gunslinger, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I haven't been, I'm like, sure we can. I haven't finished the last book yet, but And she's like, well, we can't start it now. I'm like, sure we can. Nothing says I can't start it all over again
Restart
while
it,
I'm
yeah.
and so last night so I've been slowly like knocking it out so we can be all right, we'll start all over again. And yesterday I ended up like listening to 4 or 5 hours while I was doing stuff on Illustrator and painting and stuff, and I listened to, and last night it was great because last night was the one part in book 7 that it's probably the biggest drag. So like you have this one part, and it's almost like in the Two Towers in Return of the King, where in the books Frodo and Sam they spend a long time going through Mordor with no water and no food. There's many pages on that, and it's almost the same thing in the Dark Tower. I'm like, man, this is like my least favorite part.
It's literally making
So
me cringe. Like,
so like
like when you said that,
my
I was
buddies
like, oh no.
my buddies
Hi,
and I
JFO.
we
We
went to
talked
go
about you.
Jason. So yeah,
We
my
talked.
buddies
We
and I we
talked
went to
about
see
you.
like way back when the Two Towers came out, or yeah, it was the Two Towers. I had some buddies come into town, and we were all like, "Oh, let's go see the Two Towers." Blah, blah. I was like, "Yeah, we can go do that." And so none of us had seen it, and I insisted that we go and eat first. And I didn't care where, but I wanted to eat because I wasn't going to watch a 3-hour movie and watch Sam and Frodo bitch and moan that they didn't have food or water for any part of it, while I'm sitting there like, I too could use a burger. So we all did, and then they didn't have hardly any time of them bitching and fussing that they were running out of food and water. It was suggested throughout, but you didn't get to see the struggles. And I'm like, all right, good job, Peter Jackson. My double Whataburger with cheese was great.
Jason wants to know what we talked about him. The fact that we equally had
Oh,
no idea that you were actually interested in sports.
well, we talked about a bunch about you. We talked about
Well, and your
your interest
paintings and your art
your
and
interest in sports, and we also covered like the when we collaborated last year. I was like, well, this was my like when we figured out painting, doing a collaboration for the show. I was like, well, this
mostly
is
it
how we
was to
ended up
talk
doing
about
it.
how you're a weirdo that likes apparently sports.
Yeah,
I'm just
there
saying.
we go. So
Mostly
there
about how
we
you're
go. It was very,
a weirdo.
no, I didn't say anything about you being a weirdo
All
because
right,
I
good.
don't judge sports. I don't judge sports people.
Because you
I
don't
just
know
don't pay
sports.
attention. Well, this is true. So it's hard to judge people. So like,
I was just
I'm gonna
judging the
take.
fact that I didn't know that he was even a fan. I was like, what in the
I'm
fuck?
gonna I'm gonna pick that holier than thou attitude. Like I don't judge people because I don't do this activity.
He said all facts.
All facts.
The sports ball.
Yeah.
Like when he
So
said
there we
that to
go.
me, I was
There's
like,
my.
excuse me?
All right, that turned out rad. So yeah, now we got all that shit. Hey, cool. Been doing this for an hour. I'm not gonna cut it. I'm not cutting it. Like, okay.
I
All
had
right. So
Hawk
then we got.
season tickets for 10 years.
Oh,
What?
Hawks. Well, the Hawkmen of in Flash Gordon. You got to watch them just fly and go.
Like I know he had the not the World Series that didn't happen for him like ticket. Like I remember when he posted that, but
Oh no.
I was shocked. You only gave up the tickets last year. Oh my god, let me tell you, if the Raiders were here, I'd be living in that stadium. That would be my home. Like no one would be able to like drag me away. I'm actually going to go to Buffalo into like enemy territory next year and dress up like in my face paint and everything and be like, "Fuck Buffalo!" Like just to see like how much like energy I can get back at me. Because every time I go on the East
Are you
Coast,
trolling
everybody.
them?
No, every time I go to a game on the East Coast, I am going with all of the fans of the team that's playing, you know, and I'm the sole Raider fan, the sole opposition. So I gotta make a statement. So yes, I'm trolling them.
You're trolling.
I
You are. You're
am
going out there to pick a fight.
probably.
Probably.
So if
You're
I
gonna
don't
be
come
like,
home next year,
welcome to ER Club. This is Nicole in a bodysuit because she found out, and
she fucked around and found out.
she found out, and yeah,
There was a game, the last Raider game that was on. It was last Saturday, and shit was fucking hilarious for me. Like says no Raiders fan when they lose, right? But the shit was hilarious for me because somebody was like, "Oh my god, look at how they're dressed up. Do you dress up like that when you go?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." Like this guy had like spikes and face paint on and everything. I was like, I have hands down face painted myself like an eye patch. I've done Day of the Dead face paint on myself, like in all black and silver. Like I go ham. I wear all black and I wear spiked sneakers and shit. Like my own dad is like, I don't even know who she is. Like that's not my child. Would this podcast be happening right now if they made it to the playoffs and they were on TV? Yes, because I made a promise to Richard. And also, I don't have television, as you know, so I would not be watching the game. The only TV time I get to watch the game is when they were on Thursday night because, you know, Amazon has it and I have Prime. So all I would be doing is checking the score every so often, like this on the DL, and making faces like this. Because that's all you'd see from me.
Like, what the fuck's up with Nicole? Like, Raiders are losing in halftime.
No. The more accurate assessment would be the Raiders are winning, and then in the last 3 minutes they had an interception and a touchdown. That would be the more accurate. Or they went into overtime because they had 4 interceptions, and then an interception in overtime to get the loss. Yeah, that's more like the Raiders.
Nicole needs them to win the Stanley Cup so that her life can be fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only seen them in 1 Super Bowl, and we're not talking about that. I refuse. Somebody sent me a link about how they were talking about Tom Brady potentially going to the Raiders. I was like, I will burn the whole fucking stadium down. I swear to God, I'll burn the whole thing down.
Come on, he's a winner.
You don't know football, but Dylan does and JFO does. So the Tuck rule, y'all understand? Tuck rule lives on here.
Is that when you tuck your shirt only to show a belt buckle off? Like people just do like that one little 6 inches of tuck, show off a belt buckle.
No.
That's not it.
It was a is that a fumble, not a fumble scandal for playoff, stuff. And it's like Deflategate, like how the Patriots had Deflategate, where did they deflate the balls? Like, did they steal like tapes of like, teams practices? Like there's just a whole bunch of cheating scandals, and the first one that started it all was me.
Is that the Astros trying to win the PGA Tour with the knocking of the garbage can?
Yes, that too.
Oh, okay.
That's another one that my fandom eye twitches. I stopped watching the World Series. Like when the World Series was going down to Philly and the Astros, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I need Brady to do his job and win on Monday. Sorry, Bob. Excuse me. I know that you don't like the Cowboys because you're a Giants fan, but nobody asked you to fucking show up in the box and talk shit about my father. Anyways, moving on to Paint Club.
Are we? Oh no. Okay. I'm like, oh wait a minute. Last time we had somebody in the chat doing something they weren't supposed to. I was like, I had to boot them. That's
No, it's just my. It's just
like,
my. He's talking shit about my dad's team.
right. That's fine. Go ahead. Like, that's not reason to boot you.
But it's so funny because one of my friends like said like Cowboy Nation. I was like, no, you guys, sports fans know that like there's Raider Nation, there's Dem Boys, there's like Bills Mafia, like teams got things. And my friend was like, oh yeah, Cowboys Nation. I was like, no, you don't get to just pick like take our shit. And then they lost. And he was like, fuck the Cowboys. I'm like, what just happened in like I'm like 2 hours? Oh, he means his Bob. Okay, first of all, don't talk shit about your father then. How about that? Remember, all three of us
nice
had Bobs as fathers.
That's true. My dad's name was Bob too.
And then Bill's
Mafia
is a Bob too.
Thanks for remembering that, Nicole.
Of course. That's like that's a thing that ties us together. We have both been raised by Bobs. I don't know if that's like a good thing necessarily, but
that's funny. Alicia and I were just talking about our upbringings too earlier today. Like my brother and I will trade notes in May, but like
we'll trade notes in May.
Yeah, because my brother, I'm kind of expect to see my brother in May. He shows up, and so like, yeah, I think so. Yeah. So,
oh, okay, terrible.
No. So like Alicia, we will be having a reception in May to
Am I invited?
let the world see that we got married, and like Alicia was gonna put the invitation out in Christmas cards, and she didn't have she didn't know what to put, and she's like, "How do I explain this to my family?" I'm like, carefully.
Such a dick thing to say. What do you think to say? Carefully.
Well, okay, so anyway, so I was like, "You want me to do it?" She's like, "Sure." I'm like, "I love writing stories," and like, so I wrote the story, and then she's like, "Oh, I need that." I'm like, "Yeah, I wrote it the other night. I need to rewrite it." Just because, like, I told the first draft. Typically, I have the idea first draft is first draft, last draft, get it out the door. So whenever I write copy for anything, it's pretty much like I don't dwell on it too much. Just like write it and get it done. Okay, write it and call it done. Sometimes it's not the best, but the policy is first draft, last draft, get it out the door. And it would be better if it was first draft is the last draft. And so anyway, I wrote it, and it would just I couldn't get the perspective right. I kept switching it, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it again, and I just told it in third person perspective, right? Just fine. And
Rick and Alicia.
Yeah, Rick, the story of Rick and Alicia. And when I sent it, I just emailed it to her so she could do whatever she needed to with it. And 3 days later, she finally says something about it. I'm like, oh, and she was amused. I'm like, oh, cool, because her and I do not see eye to eye on humor a lot. We the sliver in the Venn diagram isn't as big as I would like it to be, but it exists,
It blends.
and it exists. And so yeah, so she finally asked me, what is this part of the story? And I said it. And as soon as I started, she's like, oh, cool. She laughed at that. And I'm like, I hope that made it in the last draft. Um, and I was like,
Hope
okay,
that
I wrote this
stress.
silly tale. Well, you start out like any good flashback. The year was 2011. Barack Obama was finishing up his first year of his historic presidency.
Did
Wikipedia
you
turned
really?
10 years. Yeah, I'm literally telling you what I wrote in the introduction right
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
now. I'm
Great.
like,
Keep going.
so the year is 2011. Barack Obama is finishing up his first year of the last year of his historic first term as president. Wikipedia just turned 10 years old, and Sir Ian McKellen had told the world or announced that he is reprising his role as Gandalf the Grey. That's how and Rick and Alicia went and got pizza, and that's how I start the story.
If I ever
And
get married, I'm gonna have you write it for me.
then I talk about the pizza date, and Alicia's like, "What did you say? What is going on here?" I'm like, "This." Like, "Oh yeah." So in the thing, I said, "All right." During the course of their fateful pizza date, Rick
Their
said,
fateful pizza date.
"Fateful pizza date." Rick said what Alicia would perceive as the dumbest pickup line known to human history, and they went out for a second date.
What was it? What was it?
Oh, I'm not talking about that here.
Fine.
No.
Tell me later.
So she's a huge Tolkien fan. All right. I thought I was all right. I thought I was a pretty decent fan until I met her. So yeah, before dinner, I found out she was a Tolkien fan, and we're sitting down for dinner, and she had a purse with a dragon on it. Okay. First off, you do know about the Hobbit and shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This makes the story easier. So while we sat down, I saw her purse. It has a dragon on it. We've already established that um, we'd established that Ian McKellen was going to be reprising his role as Gandalf the Grey. And I said to her, "Oh, so you like dragons, huh?" And she, "Oh yes, blah blah blah." "And you like Lord of the Rings?" "Oh, I do." "Cool. What if I told you I had a dog named Smog?" And she looked at me like this. "Really?" I said, "No, no, I do."
Did you?
Yeah, I totally did. 2 weeks later, she's meeting my dog Smog.
You mean her dog Smog?
My dog Smog. That's the email address I still use. That was my dog. And yeah, and that dog didn't like me. That dog didn't like any lady that was in her
her
household.
daddy.
That is correct. And she loved all my buddies. She did not like any of the ladies.
Was that in the thing too?
No. Jokes on
Ah,
Alicia, though, or jokes on the dog. Alicia outlived her. Um,
Jesus
that's it.
Christ. Rick, the
I
things that
had
you
that dog.
say. Hmm.
I know. I'm an unmedicated obsessive compulsive. Anyway, yeah, no, that was a great dog. She was I had her for 8 years, and she was a rescue. And yeah, so
Sweet girl.
yeah, it was a great dog. And so with that dog, somewhere in Facebook you can find this. I took a picture of her. I had piled up one night while drinking. 'Cause all great stories start with that, right? I had
One
taken
night
her.
while drinking.
I took her picture after stacking toys on top of her. So her toys, not just any rando toys. But just like in E.T., you know, when E.T.'s hiding in the stuffed animals.
Never seen it.
Really, dude, dude. So there is a scene where this alien is hiding amongst all the toys, and the mom doesn't see the alien hiding in it because she's fucking dismissing it, right? And I did the same thing with Smog. I mean, she had the same kind of like wrinkly face and stuff, and I just thought it was cute. And
Aww.
I have been doing that to my Shar-Peis ever since. So all of my Shar-Peis have all gotten that ET treatment sometime in their life.
Oh, she was a Shar-Pei too.
Yep, that's all I know is stubborn ass dogs, stubborn ass opinionated dogs. Munins know better. She's got that stubborn too. But yeah, so I just did it to Puka. I guess maybe 6 months ago. I finally got him. Like he was just laying down, and I put a dinosaur in between his legs and took the picture. Then I started adding one more toy and another, and it just compounded to like 20 toys on top of him. He's just
Oh,
like whatever.
Jesus.
He's like, whatever, old man. I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a great time. Okay.
Oh, poor baby.
I have not been able to do that to Munin, but it's okay because she's not a Shar-Pei, so I guess I don't have to do it to her. But I'm like, one day, I'm just gonna be like goals. So, yeah.
She said, "Oh, poor baby."
The dogs are great. All right.
I've never had one. That's a whole different story, though.
This is true. All right. So after rescuing the Treckle, it's been a pretty good workhorse today. So
Good.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. All right. So what else? Let's see. So good mythical morning. I know. Meanwhile, back at the original tale. And I have, God damn, dude, so yeah, a member of Amazon Prime, and they have retooled their music app to where I fucking hate it now.
Really?
Yeah, like they make it, they want you to buy in to their subscription. So we're like, they've turned their music into like how Spotify is or was. I decided to stop using Spotify after this exact same behavior where it's like, okay, you get X number of skips per hour, day, whatever, and um, Amazon is like way more predatory than Spotify when with the idea of like, oh yeah, we know your selection sucks right now, but your selection would be so much better if you gave us $2 a month. And it's like it makes it's like I've been borrowing. I had Alicia rip some CDs for me, so I have like some on my computer because the brand new computer I got a couple of years ago doesn't have a disk drive on it. Um, She's like, come on,
Most of
Apple.
them don't anymore.
Yeah, that's a fucking shocker. Like, it was. I got home, put this thing up, got it all set up. I'm like, where the fuck do I put a CD in?
You
I
don't.
can't. Yeah, and I'm like, you fucking nuts. And so, yeah, I haven't decided if I want to try and get. Well, I would. I would like a boom box, just something that looks like it's straight out of the '80s that plays CDs and can broadcast to my Bluetooth. And then, like, all the money. It would be like 4 years worth of Amazon. Like I priced them out. I'm like, it's 4 years worth of the Amazon subscription. I'm like, fuck it. Like that means 4 years Amazon doesn't get a dime from me, nor do any of these
Yeah.
other folks. I mean, like I did kind of enjoy the Apple Music one, but I'm like, all right, cool. I don't want to pay the price you guys charge. Oh my God. Half of
And
what I
they
was
increased
listening
it.
to, like, of course they did, because Apple doesn't have enough money.
No one has enough money. That's why they're increasing everything. Duh.
So like,
You didn't know?
yeah, the cost of doing business, yeah, fuck that. So yeah, so like half of what I was listening to when I used the Apple the Apple one for free, I was like, I'm not listening to half the shit I just have on CD that's just in a bookcase downstairs. So fuck that. Like the audiobooks are fine. And I've downloaded a couple of extra ones of those, and I'm like, oh, I'll listen to those eventually. Like the music, man. Like there's some good stuff that like haven't unpacked yet, and it's sad because it's like, yeah, it's how like Dave Barry made this. The Dave Barry had made this joke about the economy in one of his articles where he's like, and he's explaining like music industries want to come up with, and this is based off of a humor column in the Sunday Post or in the Sunday paper. This is not any basis of reality, so or what I perceive as reality. But Dave Barry was like talking about one time how the music industry uh, stays afloat because it just changes the format in which you receive your music on. So like from record to 8-track to tape to CD, it's all about like how many times can they get you to buy the same thing. Okay, you following me here? Which
That
in
is
itself sounds
fucking.
fun.
I
Which
never
in
thought
itself
of that.
sounds funny, right? And there's truth in humor, right? So um, and it's kind of funny, but it's like, wow. And so they've gotten to a point where the music industry can ask you to pay for something that you can't hold in your hand. You know, you're just buying like an MP3 that you listen to on your on an application instead of actually like having like album art in your hand, et cetera, et cetera. And I revisit. I was like, that is nice. As cool as it is in high school when I had like a 6 CD changer, and I could put 6 albums on and just go all
Ah,
day
the
long.
6 CD changer.
Right? So like I want to go back to that. So that's the goal for this year, is just to
That's the good old days that people fucking talk about, I guess.
that's my trip to the good old days, is just to say like, there we go. We're gonna have this nostalgia trip, but it's gonna like, yeah. Like I did buy a potential music player a couple weeks ago, and it would receive it would receive things, but it wouldn't send out to my headphones. And I was like, well, that's a
Oh,
deal
weird.
breaker. It has to
Yeah,
be,
I mean,
like,
how
so
else are you
like,
gonna fucking actually listen to it?
I don't know. So yeah, and I'm like, oh, there's the port, and it had jacks for headphones.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to
My
hear like,
stepfather has that as like kind of his that's like his line in the sand with step. It has to have an aux like capability.
yeah, good for him. And like, it seems like such a like rudimentary thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to go back that far. So yeah,
Good for you.
like I don't have to be bound by iTunes and shit. But
No.
and Alicia's like, well, I can rip CDs for you and put them on your computer. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you can do that. Uh-oh, guess what we got? Hi.
We got a baby
Somebody's cold. She just came in.
from outside.
Yeah. Are you ready? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I taught her to open doors. I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that or not. So
Um, Not yet.
So I'm still up in the air on whether or not teaching her to open doors was a good idea. And partly because like sometimes I will transition from the garage to the inside of the house and like the mudroom's closed. And if I call her, she will push the door open and if it's ajar and I can just
Really?
come in. Yeah. And it's like it's kind of handy to have a helper dog like that. I'm like one
That's
day
kind of
she's
cool.
just
That's
gonna be
kind of
like,
badass.
it is, but one day she's just gonna be like, no, I want to come in here. See you later, peasants. And she's gone.
I don't think so. I think she's smart enough to not.
Oh.
I hope she's smart enough to not.
We had an issue where like we pulled up to Alicia's folks' place and frickin' like we let Puka off the leash there because we know he'll stay by Alicia. And so we get there and there is an passage between the garage and the house straight to Alicia's folks. And Alicia lets me in and out of the door, out the car. She's like, oh, she'll go to my parents. And she turned left. And we spent 40 minutes searching the woods for her. So, no. And eventually the dog did come back. But, we spent 45 minutes looking for this dog because it's out in the woods and we have no idea, like, what else is out there. But we also have an idea that there are enough people out in the middle of nowhere that they'll shoot at anything while they're hunting. And I'm like, I don't want some drunk ass hillbilly hunter to shoot my dog because he thinks it's a bear at 200 yards. So yeah.
Okay, maybe I take back my statement.
Like I appreciate you having faith in my dog. Yeah,
You're like, I
she's
don't
smart.
though.
She is willful and ignorant of things. So yeah.
She's
Right.
willful.
Okay,
She's
my one
willfully
headphone
ignorant.
just blissfully ignorant or defiantly ignorant, something like that.
One
Anyway,
headphone
so I just
died,
had
so did mine.
I had a headphone die. So thanks y'all for joining the polite conversation of Paint Club tonight, and we stuck with most of the format. So
Yeah,
Nicole, but
kind
as we sign off tonight, to all these wonderful folks or tuning in now and later, where they can find you.
Hopefully not drowning in a sea of tears trying to fix that thing later. But here,
They can
wait,
find you right there.
Here on Instagram. Wait, let me do it with the pointy side. There.
There you go. The Don Mad Hattress.
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna fight that girl for my name on. That's a whole different conversation. Anyways.
All right, I'm Rick Stroh on Instagram, the RICSTROH. We are here because we want to. So
for the good vibes.
We're here for the good vibes. And let's see, do you remember rule number 3 of Paint Club, Nicole?
Oh shit, we did this last week. And I really liked it too. And I was like, oh my God, I love that.
That's why I'm putting you on the spot right now.
No, I don't remember it. What is it?
Number 3 rule of Paint Club is to paint bravely.
Paint bravely. That's why I loved it, because it got me all sappy like right now.
Paint bravely, y'all. We'll see you next week. Oh, and okay, so quick before we do sign off. Next week we will be having Priscilla Art join us.
Not the 4th?
Is it 4th? Oh fuck. All right.
You said the 4th. You said the 4th.
4th? Okay, we're the 4th. Okay, so on the 4th, when we come back from Dead Week,
Priscilla, we're not sure.
And yeah.
We'll double check that.
We'll double check that. Thanks. And yeah, so everybody have a super week. We will see y'all next week, bright and early. Ciao.
Yeah.
All right. Stop live. That's fun. All right. Here we go.